On what started as a perfectly ordinary day, an unsuspecting, seemingly healthy man went to the doctors for a checkup, and it was there that he was dealt the devastating news that he had cancer. Now, melanoma, or skin cancer, is often overlooked in its severity, but it should not be taken lightly. The American Cancer Society released a statement at the beginning of this year warning that 1 person dies of melanoma every hour in the U.S. I found this statistic particularly disturbing because the man who received this diagnosis was my grandfather. He could have saved himself a 6-month battle, including 4 procedures and 2 surgeries, had he used proper sun protection in his youth. I want to help make others aware of what they can do to protect themselves from the sun and from a similar fate. I believe there is a simple and practical solution: to establish a mandatory protocol for all youth activities to use sun protection. Everyone is constantly at risk of sun exposure when they are outdoors, and therefore everyone needs to be using sunscreen. Anyone can get skin cancer, regardless of age, gender, or race. It is important to enforce healthy sun protective habits from a young age to prevent sun damage and skin cancer from developing later in life. Sunburn is the reddening of skin caused by overexposure to the sun's harmful ultraviolet radiation. It may appear as just a temporary irritation, but sunburns are serious and can cause long-term damage to the skin. No one sets out to get a sunburn. They simply lost track of time or nodded off at the beach, but it is important to treat it seriously and to act fast. They are so common that you may not even think of them as an injury, but they are a very serious one, because people who have had only 5 sunburns automatically double their risk of melanoma. Skin cancer is the uncontrolled growth of abnormal skin cells. The Skin Cancer Foundation has stated that it occurs when unrepaired DNA damage to skin cells triggers mutations that lead to rapidly multiplying skin cells, which form malignant tumors. Skin cancer can appear in many forms and at varying degrees. An estimated 178,560 cases of melanoma will be diagnosed in 2018. A study in the UK found that 86% of melanoma cases are attributed to exposure to the UV radiation from the sun. My grandfather's skin cancer was from the main causes: repeated exposure to the sun over his lifetime, and he never wore a hat growing up. He's an avid golfer, but didn't take the necessary steps to protect himself against the sun, in spite of all the time he spent outdoors. He is fair-skinned and suffered multiple sunburns over the years that inevitably led to his diagnosis of basal cell carcinoma. This type of cancer appeared along the scalp line and above his left eye. It required multiple biopsies along with surgery to remove the cancer, followed by plastic surgery to close the wound. The surgeon actually found another tumor which required additional scalp removal. They ended up removing an approximate 3 by 2 inch portion of his scalp. The plastic surgery elongated and removed the portion, and then pulled it back together. And yet another surgery was required several months after the healing process to remove additional tumors. And after this surgery, he needed 2 ear lifts so that the site would appear as normal as possible. His type of cancer was graded as poorly differentiated, which means it is more aggressive and likely to spread. It is an ongoing battle that hundreds of thousands of people face in the U.S. today. The American Academy of Dermatology suggests applying sunscreen 15 minutes before going outdoors, and to reapply every 2 hours or sooner after sweating or swimming. You should apply a generous coat on all exposed skin because even your lips are at risk of sun damage. You can protect yourself from the sun in other ways, such as wearing protective clothing like long-sleeve shirts, sunglasses, or hats. Regular daily use of an SPF of 15 or higher reduces the risk of developing melanoma by 50%. I myself participated in year-round sports during high school, but rarely applied sunscreen. Sun protection was never made a priority, even when we were exposed to extreme harmful ultraviolet rays in the middle of August. There never seemed to be time, but there is always time to take preventative action and to protect yourself from an injury. People 20 years and younger are at a much higher risk of sun exposure because young people generally spend more time outdoors and perform fewer sun protective behaviors. A Queensland health study has linked this risk and habit of sun damage in the first 20 years of life to skin cancer development later in life. The Queensland study on young people between the age of 12 and 20 showed that the more support they got from peers and adults to wear sun protection, the more participants reported engaging in positive sun safety behaviors. In the study, those who struggled with protecting themselves against the sun blamed their own forgetfulness and laziness. The cure for forgetfulness and laziness is a simple one. Adults and supervisors need to remind their pupils to apply sunscreen. Sports coaches and other outdoor activities directors need to prioritize the safety of children under their supervision. There needs to consistently be a supply of sunscreen readily available to outdoor activity participants, which could be supplied by the parents or coaches. Before practice and warm-ups, it needs to be generously applied and then again at every water break, if not sooner. Sunscreen takes only a moment to apply and would not interfere with any activities. And the necessary expense of sunscreen is a much more affordable one than the risk and cost of treating skin cancer down the road. Establishing a mandatory protocol for sun protection, particularly in outdoor youth programs, is the best way to protect our youth and future generations from an avoidable injury or worse. Thank you.